Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are out there. It's time for another episode of Train Talk from Milepost 141. This is SoundTraxx Soundbites new podcast.
Yep.
And we're actually...
not so new anymore, is it?
Well, we're recording episode 5. We might be able to stop calling it new if we're somewhere around the 20s. And some of these newer ones, I say the newer ones, the first ones that we do, there's getting the word out.
Yeah.
You know, sharing with your friends.
True. People may be
about.
just finding this still.
So you may be just finding it. I mean, it is only...
And if you are, welcome.
It is only 5 episodes in, so welcome again. We appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully we'll try to make this somewhat entertaining and informative for you.
Yep.
So... Now, I know a lot of times we've talked about models and stuff like that we've been working on, and unfortunately at this moment in time, I know Norman's still getting settled at his new place, and for me, I've actually been working on some building kits and stuff that aren't finished up yet, so I haven't been doing a lot of decoder models or anything like that. It's really kind of been more along the lines of, you know, as you saw over at my house, you finally did come over and get to see the layout.
Since the last episode, I've actually gotten to see his new expansion and operate on it. So,
oh,
you really should put another panel there so I can plug in the throttle.
Nah, all my trains are Blunami, so I don't need a throttle plug. But honestly, the reason I don't do that is because then I would have to run that, and those are removable sections.
True.
And so in order to get from that first panel over around, and there's a disconnectable plug that has to be installed and daisy chained back and forth. And so I'm trying to make it quick and easy. So just run my Blunamis. No, for me personally, I know I've been working on a lot of building kits. I've got some oil racks that are oil loading, unloading, whatever, racks that I'm building. And of course, I can't just build the kit like it is. I've got to make everything difficult. So I'll show you a picture here where I had taken these are the Walthers racks that I've started working on. And when I opened up the kit and I started looking at it, I realized that the gangways or the walkways were a cast piece of plastic, but they were designed to represent that grate through walkways that you would see like up on either a top of a freight car or some other gantry-way or something like that. But it's that metal grating. And so kind of what I did was I have to make everything difficult. So luckily from Plano Model Products, I had some pieces of the etched pattern. There was a sheet of etching that's about, I don't know, what's that, about 4 or 5 inches long and about 2 inches wide, something like that.
Yeah.
And I was able to make new platforms out of that metal. And so what I did was I built a styrene frame around it, and like I said, you can see it in the picture here. But I had taken the styrene and created a frame and then glued that metal onto it. So now I have a new platform, and that's kind of what stalled me a little bit because the loading racks, as you saw, were 2 long. So I had to build 2 of those. So I have 2 of them built now, so now I just need to sit down, finish the kit. It looks like it was fairly easy, but I wanted to make sure I had both of those done properly before I continued on. So it's kind of neat, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. Because it'll be nice to upgrade that's kind of easy, but also adds a lot of visual interest.
Oh, yeah.
So I know you, like I said, you've been settling into your place, so hopefully all that's going well. Trying to figure out where to put everything. That's always the hardest part of a move. So, but of course you kept your trains pretty handy.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have some more models to show off here.
They're top load only anyway, so.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll have some models to show off next time. I know I've been working on a caboose as well that I'm really excited to show off.
Yeah.
So we'll save that for next time. So.
Alrighty.
With that, kind of wanted to talk a little bit about our Blunami for a moment. And one of the biggest questions we get, there's actually 2 that I want to cover. The first one is the topic of DCC. A lot of people, we've obviously been focusing a lot on pushing the fact that this is a Bluetooth enabled, that you can run it from your smart device or your phone or whatever, but it is a Tsunami 2 at heart. So it's still a DCC decoder so that you can still run off your DCC system. So if you still have Power Cab or a Pro Cab or whatever, the DigiTrax system,
DCS52,
any of those type of things, you can still run the Blunami with your DCC system. Because you know, when we talk to people, some people are you know, they're still stuck in their ways, I guess is one way to say it. And I'm not trying to be disparaging by any stretch of the imagination, but they want the feel of a knob. And so I understand that. That's what we've done for years. I mean, I remember when I was growing up in the hobby, we still had the power packs that sat on the table that we turned the knob. So I get the understanding or the feel for wanting that, but that's where the Blunami really shines, because you're not locked out of DCC. It's still a DCC product. As a matter of fact, we just did a YouTube video not long ago showing off the conformance warrant that we got in 2022 right after we released and announced the product. Showing that it is an NMRA DCC compliant product. So
okay. I hadn't known we were doing a video on that.
You should be subscribed to our YouTube channel, as should you guys over there, because there's a lot of information that we post on our YouTube channel to help you guys understand the product a little bit more, kind of tips and hints, things like that. So be sure to subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button down below and you'll be informed anytime we make new videos.
Don't forget the bell so you get the notifications.
Yes, I tend to forget that part for whatever reason.
I know, I have to always remind you whenever we're filming videos.
That's all right. I tell everybody I get hit in the head a lot.
Yeah.
So
it's not hockey season though. Why are you getting hit in your head this time of year?
Well, I'm talking about the residual damage.
I'm sure there must be a lot of that.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm talking about the residual damage. So anyway, the other thing I wanted to point out about the Blunami, and this actually contributes also to the Tsunami 2. You've actually had some people comment on this, is I've had people tell me that they really love all the features, the sounds, everything about the Tsunami 2, but they don't like the fact that it starts up as soon as you put track power on.
Yep.
You can change that.
Yeah.
We have over 500 different CVs to allow you to make adjustments to the performance of the decoder, and anything you want to do, you can change that. Mm-hmm. It's really a matter of choice. Yep. So guys, if that's your holdup,
go to the user's guide, CV114, auto start. Mm-hmm. Just disable it.
That's or if you're using the Blunami, you can just uncheck the auto start through the app.
It's just a menu option.
So it is a setting, but guys, don't let stuff like that. And if you ever have any questions about it, feel free to give us a call. We're here to help anytime. And Norman is our primary face of customer support. Mm-hmm. And I know you had a topic that you seem to get a lot of calls about that you wanted to bring up.
Yes. So something that I've been noticing lately is in the model railroad space, we tend to use short circuit as a sort of catch-all term for when an issue arises. And a lot of the time what the users are describing as a short circuit isn't a short circuit. So a short circuit is a very specific condition. It means positive and negative are being allowed to contact each other. So if I were to put a piece of metal across the rails here, that would be a short circuit because the positive and the negative from the two rails are being allowed to contact each other. And what that's effectively doing is creating a circuit with zero impedance.
So what it's essentially doing is, in this particular case, it's bypassing, because let's look at electricity fundamentally.
Yeah.
Electricity follows the shortest path of least resistance. So even in the case like this, we have a locomotive on the track. If I put a piece of metal across here, the piece of metal going across here is the shortest path of least resistance, because when it goes into the decoder has all the things that it's doing, going through the motor, the lights, and the audio amplifier, and all that stuff. But so the electricity will bypass the decoder's operation. That's completely different than, say, a locomotive running along the track and just stops.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a short circuit.
That could just be dirty wheels, for instance, or maybe not even dirty wheels. It could be the internal pickups that are dirty. But people also use this to describe various symptoms of the decoder Guys, it's typically not a short circuit. It's damage to a component. And that component means that a certain portion of the decoder won't work. So for instance, one of the common ones I see is audio amplifier. Because somebody's used the wrong speaker on their decoder, they'll say it's shorted. No, the audio amplifier is damaged because it was overdriven due to having a speaker that was not able to handle the wattage that was coming from the decoder.
So yeah, that doesn't short circuit the system. But I want to go back to what you were talking about with the locomotives running along the track. And let's just for argument's sake say we have a switch here. If the locomotive is running along, it just stops. He kind of mentioned and talked about the track power not coming to the decoder. There could be any number of reasons for that. A lot of times when you have a turnout which has a dead frog, but then you also have a section of the points, for example, that are on a hinge that may or may not be able to make contact cleanly through there. Or let's say the stock rail, when it comes up against it, there's something that's not allowing that power to transmit. So what happens, especially with these short wheelbase locomotives, is the front wheel, let's say on this left side, is on the points, and then the back wheels are on the frog. Well, you could end up with a locomotive that's just not getting power.
Yeah.
So the decoder's not shorted, it actually just lost power.
And we actually have a nice way to check for that. There's a blue pilot light on all of the decoders that we sell. If you're ever in doubt, look at that blue pilot light. If it's on, the decoder's getting power. If it's not, it's probably not getting power.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
That pilot light's a tool, and it helps us help you, but you can also use that pilot light on your own because you can pop the shell off really quickly and run it through that same section of track and watch the pilot light. Pilot light extinguishes or flickers. That's what the decoder's seeing as far as its track power is concerned. And as he mentioned, it could be dirty wheels, there could be pickups inside because the wheels aren't actually transferring the power directly to the decoder. You have some wipers in this case, and it's kind of hard to see, so we'll post a picture, but there's wipers that ride the back of the wheel. So you also have to kind of clean the back of the wheel and maybe that wiper,
maybe the wiper piece of metal. And not all models use the same pickup solution. Wipers are common in HO, but in N scale, we tend to use axle tip cups.
I've seen those. Athearn Genesis and some of their models have a copper piece of metal that the axle goes into.
Very similar to
what you're talking about. And we actually did a YouTube video talking about how to clean those out. Talk about maintenance and cleaning your wheels, because not always it's just the wheels and the rails, because the electricity has to get to the decoder. And so if we go back to like the old Athearn Blue Box, for example, you have the wheel on the rail, then you have the axle shaft going through a bronze bushing. And that bronze bushing is in the metal plate, and that metal plate then has the wire attached to it that goes up to the decoder. So that's 3 moving parts that can build up crud or dirt or anything like that that can potentially cause the decoder not to get power. If your decoder's running along and it loses power, that's not necessarily a short circuit. Your short circuits, if you notice that, you're going to notice it on here because your system's going to shut down and it'll reset. And it's not plugged in right now, but you would see short circuit. Basically your system would reboot because when it sees that short, it shuts down.
Correct. Because what a short will cause is basically infinite power draw because there's 0 ohms. So, and most systems can't, actually I don't know of any systems that can handle that. So it shuts down because what it's actually doing is it's tripping an overcurrent protection. Which brings me to another point. Sometimes what you see as a short may not be actually a short. It may be the overcurrent protection tripping. Something is drawing too much power and it's causing the system to trip. I've seen this a lot. If you're running, 4 or 5 locomotives in consist, that may be too much for the system to handle.
Yeah, for example, like this power cab here is rated for 3.5 amps. So if you have 6 or 10 locomotives and you start them all at the same time, and each one of those locomotives has a 1 amp stall current, let's say.
You're going to go over that.
That's going to draw over the 3.5 amps and potentially can overdraw your system. So again, it's not necessarily that the system's shorted. You have to pay attention to a lot of those type of factors. So, when you call us up, we're going to ask you a lot of specific questions. We're going to say, okay, you're saying short. Define what that means.
Yes.
And tell us specifically.
Because unfortunately, we've gotten into this space where short circuit doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah. So make sure you fully comprehend kind of what you're looking at. The more information you can share with us, the better. We may need to know what the decoder's doing, what the decoder is, things like that. And just kind of an addendum on that, I wanted to say, our decoders, they're pretty bulletproof, quite frankly. There's been some articles out there in the news press or media, model press, whatever you want to call it, talking about TVS diodes and things like that to put in there. Our decoders already have that stuff built in. So we've already got some short circuit recovery protection. So if there is an actual short, let's say you run your train through a closed switch, then it shorts the system out. Well, once that's cleared, then you may see a spike or something. Our decoders already have that safety built into it. So we try to build them robust. So what I'm kind of getting at is our decoders either work or they don't.
Yeah.
So if
or a specific portion doesn't work.
Right. You may have, like, for example, a lighting output burned out, or you may have a audio amplifier burned out. So if your model runs and you have no sound, then we need to look at the audio amplifier.
That's not a short, that's the audio amplifier or the lighting circuit has been damaged.
Right. Or you could have even damaged the speaker, depending on what it is.
Also possible.
I know, like, for example, for whatever reason, Rapido, those guys love those iPhone 4 speakers, and they put them in almost all their models. First off, they're not very good speakers, but they're decent, don't get me wrong, but they're small and they've managed to model to put them in there, but they're wired in parallel and they're each rated at like 0.7 of a watt. So that's playing with fire, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So you want to rewire those in series, make sure they go from one speaker to the other and then back to the decoder, or honestly, you can replace the speakers out. I've done both with some of my Rapido models. So, but anyway, so the ultimate goal here, I guess, is to say, not everything's a short.
Yeah, mainly just clear up some misconceptions around what a short is, because we use the term far too much for things that are not actually a short.
Agreed. So anyway, hopefully that was been helpful for you guys. And the one thing I'm going to close this out here fairly shortly, and this will be a short episode apparently because we didn't have much to show off model-wise. But I know
blame the guy who's moving.
I noticed you have a little red on your nose.
Oh yeah.
And it looks like you've gotten a little bit of sun. What could that have been from?
So this guy decided this weekend that it was a good idea to go out and take his Jeep and take the top off and go down one of the trails around in our area. And he invited me to go with him. The top was off. And I got a lot of sun.
Yes, but keep in mind, remember what I said before we left? Do you remember that?
Yes.
I said, hey, do you need some sunscreen? And you said, no, I think I'll be good.
I mean, we were originally intending only a couple of hours.
Yeah, to be fair, we did change up. We did go over one trail, and then we went up the Piedra River and kind of stood in the river for a little bit, and that was kind of nice.
Yeah.
So that's
I think it was a heron hunting fish. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. That's one of the benefits of living out in this area is we get to take advantage of all that stuff. There's a lot of good mountain trails, hiking trails.
I know a bunch of the people downstairs do dirt bikes.
They do biking trails, all that. Biking's big here.
Yeah.
We've got Olympians out there that are from this area because we have a lot of extreme sports people that play, do those type of things. Skiing's really big, snowboarding, in this case, biking and stuff like that. So we've got a lot of people that come from this area because of all the mountains. Here's your little fun fact: is that we have the most amount of 14ers in the state of Colorado in this area, which is 14,000 foot peaks.
Okay.
Which is kind of an interesting thing. So
given I have to go over Wolf Creek at 11,000 feet to get to Denver, I'm not entirely surprised.
Yeah. So, and for you fans out there, there is a song about Wolf Creek Pass. C.W. McCall, check it out. So, I guess that's everything we've got here. I just wanted to harass you on your Rudolph nose over there.
Don't speak like you don't have one as well.
Oh, I got a little bit, but I've been putting some Aloe lotion on it a lot more aggressively. So
gotcha.
And I also drive a lot with the Jeep off, so my arms are the tale of two arms. I've got the dark arm here, and then you come back over here and it glows in the dark.
Yeah.
So.
Man, I used to have that back when I was driving the ice cream truck.
Yeah, that's true. So, all right, well, we're going to wrap up this particular session. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. And again, I want to stress out, if you guys have any questions, problems, anything like that, feel free to reach out to us. We're always happy to help. We're here to assist you have fun in your model railroading endeavors. So we want to make sure you're enjoying our product and make sure that we can help solve any problems or questions. So give us a call, email support@soundtraxx.com, or give us a call and ask for Norman or myself, and we'll be happy to help answer anything we can. So I guess that's a wrap for episode 5.
I guess. Relatively short.
Fairly short. We ended up being about 25 minutes or so.
That's about what you normally clock in at.
Yeah, so anyway.
But before we succumb to the inevitable podcast thing and the episode lengths start getting longer and longer and longer.
Yeah, I don't want to get to that point. I have a hard time with some of the ones I listen to when they're a little bit longer like that. So I want to keep them short, about 30 minutes or so. And also, we understand your time's valuable as well.
Yeah.
And there's only so much that we can talk about clowning on each other the whole time.
I mean, I'm just thinking, because I remember a couple of podcasts I listened to while There's Your Problem. They started out at like 30-minute episodes. Now they're doing 6-hour marathons.
Yeah, no. Don't worry, we won't do that. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.